Anthony Yarde has received a lot of criticism from boxing fans over the level of opposition that he's fought, and also the fact that he has refused to step in the ring with his domestic rivals. Now, Anthony's trainer and manager, TUNDE AJAYI, and now Anthony himself have responded to this by saying that the level of opposition they've been fighting isn't that bad. It's actually quite good. It's just that Anthony makes them look bad. He makes it look easy. And rather than his domestic rivals constantly calling Anthony out, what they should do is go and fight the guys that Anthony's been fighting, and then they'll soon discover it's not that easy and that those opponents are not that bad. And in this interview right here on IFL a couple days ago, this was before Buatsi's fight on the weekend, Kugan Cassius was alluding to the criticism that Anthony's been getting from boxing fans, and Anthony said it again, that my rivals should go and fight the guys that I've been fighting. And that's when Kugan sprang the surprise on him. He said, well, actually, Buatsi is fighting Tony Averlant on Saturday. Yarde was surprised. Yarde said, oh, I'm not going to watch the fight. I'm concentrating on my fight, etc. Now, styles make fights, people, to be perfectly fair. Just because one guy blasts an opponent out in the first and another guy takes 7 rounds to get him out, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the case when, going to be the case for all of their common opponents. There might be some guys who Joshua Buatsi struggles with, who Yarde manages to blast out, etc. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Buatsi will beat Yarde when they fight. Although, I have to imagine that the vast majority of the British boxing public at this point think that Joshua Buatsi would beat Anthony Yarde. Okay? But be that as it may, Joshua Buatsi handled business in emphatic fashion against Tony Averlant. This level of opponent, this is the kind of performance you want out of a Joshua Buatsi, right? When he's taking on a Tony Averlant, get him out of there quick, and that's exactly what Joshua Buatsi did. Walked straight forward, obviously carefully, didn't want to make any mistakes, walked Tony Averlant down, hit him with some body shots, and got the TKO at 2 minutes 53 of the first round. Easy as that. I would love to see Anthony Yarde, and particularly Tunde Ajayi's reaction to this. Because right now I'm not covering Anthony Yarde's fights until he actually has a fight. Until they actually put him in there with somebody with a pulse. I've got the most amount of respect for Anthony Yarde's physical ability. I think Anthony Yarde is a precocious talent. I've said this many times. But the process of building Anthony Yarde up as a fighter, the process which his trainer-manager Tunde Ajayi has decided to use, it's a very tedious process. And so I'm not interested in seeing all the fights against knockover jobs for however long this is going to go on for. I'm not interested in that. Wake me up when we get there. I've said this before. Wake me up when we get there. When they put him in a real fight, then wake me up. Okay? Or if he does take on one of these lower quality opponents and has more trouble than was expected, then I'll cover that. Because that's at least something interesting going on. But if it's just a guy knocking over vastly overmatched opponents, we've already seen that with Anthony Yarde for his first, 16, 17 fights, whatever he's had now. We've already seen that. So I want to see something different now. I want to see him step up the opposition. And that's that. But as far as Joshua Buatsi, a vastly more experienced amateur than Yarde. He's 8-0 now. Half as many fights as Anthony Yarde has had, I believe. But already fighting the same quality of opposition as Yarde in half a number of fights, and taking him out, in this case, 7 times as quick as Yarde took him out. So, congratulations to Joshua Buatsi. He took care of business the way he was supposed to. Now, the Anthony Yarde fight isn't going to happen anytime soon because Yarde's team are not keen on putting him in with Buatsi or anyone with a pulse for now. So one of the things, funny enough, one of the things that Tunde Ajayi kept on saying that Yarde's opponents should do, or sorry, Yarde's domestic rivals should do, is that they should fight each other. That forget about Anthony Yarde. He doesn't need to be involved in fights against domestic rivals. The domestic rivals should all fight each other. You know, God knows how Tunde can justify this kind of thing, but you know, it is what it is. The domestic rivals should all fight each other. And Eddie Hearn is now talking about Joshua Buatsi versus Hosea Burton. That's what he's talking about. They're both Eddie Hearn fighters, and he's talking about that fight happening maybe this year. Buatsi versus Burton. It's a very good fight, and it's the kind of fights I like to see, to be honest with you. I don't like to have to wait years and years and years for two young, unbeaten prospects / contenders to face each other for a world title, because by then they're wily and they're cagey, and it can often be a disappointing affair. When you put them in the ring against each other when they're both young, undefeated prospects with a chip on their shoulder and something to prove, that's usually when you get the best fight. So I'm a boxing fan, people. I want to be entertained. And I think this fight, Buatsi versus Burton, would be at its most entertaining right now. Yeah. So it's a fight I want to see. It's a fight that hopefully can be made. And whoever wins that fight, how can Anthony Yarde's team, how can Anthony Yarde's manager Tunde Ajayi turn around and say that the winner of Buatsi versus Burton is not higher than Anthony Yarde on the domestic scene? How will he be able to say that with a straight face? I mean, he can barely say it with a straight face now. But how will he be able to say it then? And I know I sound like I'm being harsh on Tunde and Anthony Yarde and whatnot. Look, Anthony Yarde, as I keep saying, I think he's a precocious talent. I think he's very, very naturally gifted. But the PR from his trainer manager Tunde Ajayi is terrible. I think it's best for, for Anthony's public image and for his career. I think it's best for Tunde Ajayi to not do interviews. I don't think Tunde Ajayi is a bad trainer at all. No, I think Tunde Ajayi is actually a good trainer in terms of what he teaches Anthony from a technical point of view. I think Tunde Ajayi is actually really good. But his PR skills are horrible. Like, that is where Tunde is seriously lacking. His PR skills are terrible. And he just makes Anthony look bad. He's making Anthony's popularity, at least with the hardcore boxing fans on social media, go down. And it's not only Tunde's attitude, it's also the level of opposition, but a lot of it has to do with the poor PR skills of Tunde Ajayi. But yeah, anyway, Buatsi, great performance. We'll see him hopefully against Hosea Burton in the near future. And then maybe you might see Joshua Buatsi face Callum Johnson. Potentially. I know that seems like we're rushing Joshua Buatsi here, and perhaps we are, but he's a very ambitious man. Was a very experienced amateur. He's very confident. He's got a cool, calm head on his shoulders. So let's see how it goes. Let me know what you feel in the comment section below, people. It's happening, I'm out.
Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.